this was, just a few days before Prabhupada left the planet. Two very prominent Indian gentlemen came to see Srila Prabhupada. One was the governor of Madras, Sriman Narayan, and his brother-in-law, Ramakrishna Bajaj, a very big industrialist. So two of them came to Prabhupada's room, and some of us were there in Prabhupada's room. And at one point they just told that they wanted to discuss something in private with Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada asked us to leave the room. So, we left the room, although we didn't want to. But while leaving the room, I pressed the recording button of the tape recorder. And they asked Prabhupada who would actually have the legacy after Prabhupada left the planet. And Prabhupada mentioned to them that he is giving the legacy to all his disciples, and whoever follows will have the legacy. That was actually printed in the Back to Godhead that came after Prabhupada's disappearance, Prabhupada's final instructions, and this one was there. And then they figured out that the tape recorder was on, and they asked Prabhupada if they could switch off the tape recorder. So that was also there, in the tape recorder. I mean, it was taped. And I don't think after that they had any serious discussions. Actually, what they wanted to know, who would become Prabhupada's successor. But Prabhupada made it very clear that he is giving the legacy to all his disciples, all his followers. So whoever follows has the legacy. And he didn't want to appoint any successor as such.
I was hearing through the grapevine rumors that he was leaving to go to San Francisco to help open the temple there. And it was the first time that he was going to be leaving us. Of course, we were only with him for a few months, but still it was like an eternity, and he was already our everything. So I said, Swamiji, I heard you were going to be leaving in a few days. When are you leaving? So he said, do you think I would ever leave you? Don't think like that. I'm always with you, and you are always with me. So of course he did leave, but later, in the next year and the year after, when I would get depressed and not feel his separation or presence, but just feel his absence, those words came back in my mind.
When we first arrived in India, we thought we should do Harinam in the streets every day, like in America. And we were very shocked when Srila Prabhupada said that in India, if we chant in the streets, people will think we're beggars, because so many people in India chant in the streets just to get some paisa. So we didn't really know what to do. Of course, Srila Prabhupada was having so many preaching programs, and we were accompanying him. But then he unveiled the Life Membership Program. And according to the program, the member would contribute 1,111 rupees then. And he would get a lifetime subscription to Back to Godhead, all of Srila Prabhupada's books, past, present, and future, and free guest facilities in all ISKCON centers. And Srila Prabhupada commented that he had devised the membership program as a means to distribute his books. Tamal Krishna Goswami raised the point that that if we give him all the magazines and all the books and give him free stay and prasad in all the temples, we may end up spending much more than 1,111 rupees in the member's life. But Srila Prabhupada replied that you'll always be going back to the life members, and they'll always be giving more and more. And, you know, he may only give 1,111 rupees to become a life member, but in the course of his life, he may give 10,000 rupees. So I understood that Srila Prabhupada wanted us to actively cultivate the life members and encourage them in Krishna consciousness. And after the first Bombay Pandal, Srila Prabhupada called for the first meeting of life members. And he spoke to them about the 6 exchanges of love. And he said that the membership program is actually meant to facilitate the 6 exchanges, that we give you books, we give you Krishna consciousness, you give us contributions, we invite you for prasad, you invite us for prasad, and you reveal your mind and ask questions, and we reveal our mind and answer. So it was very sweet the way Srila Prabhupada explained the whole thing, very transcendental. And that was really his idea, that we should develop deep friendships with them, and they should really become convinced about Krishna consciousness, support the movement, and themselves gradually become Krishna conscious.
When Prabhupada came to Boston, everyone was working very hard to get ready for him, painting walls and woodworks. And everyone was so busy that I was the only one that went to see him at the airport. I took a taxi, and I made the garland in the taxi. Then he and Govindadasi and Gaurasundar came off the plane, and I very clumsily ran up to him, and he graciously accepted the garland. And then we took a taxi back to the temple, and as we were walking up the steps, not to the temple, to his house on Chester Street, as we were walking up to the house, Govindadasi whispered to me that one of the paintings I did in my so-called great example to the Brahmacharinis was a painting of Radha and Krishna. And at that time I was also using the old master's references. So the only nice picture I found of a girl that looked anything like Radharani could have with a long skirt, she was Dutch, and she was facing the wrong way, not towards Krishna. But I wanted to have a realistic girl, and she was pretty, so I copied her just as she was. I didn't even think that I could have turned her around. With, you know, you take a mirror and then you can flop a picture. I didn't think of that. So here's Krishna playing his flute, and here's Radharani facing away from Krishna holding the garland. So Govindadasi whispered to me as we were coming up the steps that this Swamiji just said in New York that in your painting it looks like Radharani has another boyfriend. So after we came in the house and Prabhupada sat on this big sofa and we all sat at his feet, I said to him, Swamiji, I heard that you didn't like that painting. It looks like Radharani has another boyfriend, so I'll do it over. So he said, no, Radharani is offering Jadharani a garland for painting so many nice pictures of Krishna. So I just thought, personally, me, she's personally offering a garland to me?